talk to you about the Edmonton pros and cons of living. Hi, this is Melody Wilson. We're going to talk to you today all about the pros and cons of living in Edmonton. Now, I know I did a video earlier on this. If you want to check that out, it's up here. But we're going to talk today about what are the pros and cons. Every city has pros and cons, whether you're living in our southern city, Calgary, and you love it and you slam Edmonton, or you live in Toronto, or you live in Hong Kong. Wherever you live, there's always pros and cons. So I wanted to talk to you about those today from a family perspective of what the family pros and cons are of living in Edmonton. So, pro in Edmonton, as a family, we really like the kind people, the atmosphere. I know there's always toxic people in every environment you work with, but we really enjoy the people in Edmonton. We find that when we walk down the River Valley or walk on a walking path, everyone's pretty friendly. They usually say hi, and it's always nice to feel like you're part of a community. Another pro to living in Edmonton is the 4 seasons. We have spring, summer, fall, and winter. Now, some would say in Edmonton we have 5 seasons, and we have spring, construction season, summer, and then fall and winter. So, you know what? That's a con in terms of the construction. Edmonton seems to always be in construction on the major arteries as well. So you can kind of be a headache even in downtown. There's a lot of stuff happening in Edmonton, including putting in the new LRT system. So of course that's going to cause you some backups on the road. Traffic isn't always the greatest. So I would say that's a con in Edmonton. Another pro of living in Edmonton is the River Valley. The River Valley is very long and vast. It goes over 160 kilometers and it spans a bunch of parks, about 20 parks. So you've got lots of options whether you're in the River Valley in the north end or in central or the south. There's so many things to do and see and discover. As a family, we've enjoyed taking hikes, and it's got lots of different varying difficulties as well. So you can have an easy walk path on pavement, or you can walk in the trails, and even in the trails, it's not that difficult. So it's pretty family friendly. You can also do geocaching in the Edmonton River Valley as long as someone's left something behind. Now, don't forget, when you're walking in the River Valley, you'll experience one of Edmonton's cons, which is mosquitoes. Now, this past year being so hot, we haven't seen a ton of those this year, but we've seen a lot of wasps. So I'd say the insects in Edmonton drive me crazy and are one of my cons. I don't like sitting outside being bothered by wasps flying around or mosquitoes. Another Edmonton pro is the food scene. We really enjoy finding all the fun local spots, new places. You've got burger places, you've got those small batch ice cream places like Kind Ice Cream and Made by Marcus. You've got lots of fun different places to check out and support local. We really enjoy that. Now, I know lots of cities have different local food scenes. We seem to really have a good variety of different kinds of food, whether it be anything from a burger all the way to seafood restaurant or Italian food. There's a whole bunch of options, and of course, even delicacies like pastries and donuts. And everyone knows about Duchess. So there's a lot of great places to check out. There are fun places like Zweck's Pretzels, which is a fun place our kids really enjoy eating at because it is definitely a meal, but it's also like a snack. So one of the cons of living in Edmonton is the urban sprawl. If you do want to check out those local places that I just mentioned, you typically have to go down into central downtown or the central part of Edmonton, kind of closer to the River Valley. So as a family, if you live in the suburbs, you are experiencing that urban sprawl where you have to kind of drive inward. Now, if you're coming from a city that's larger than Edmonton, you won't necessarily feel like it's much of a drive because everything in Edmonton is only about 30 minutes away. So you can see that as a pro or a con depending on what you're used to in terms of commute time. Now, another con at Edmonton is the traffic. At traffic time, anywhere between 4:30 to 6:30, you can really experience some not so fun traffic. The other thing too, depending on what time of year it is, it could be better or worse. For some reason in the winter, everyone seems to forget that first snowfall, how to drive in the winter. We do see a lot of broken down cars, and there's a lot of times tow trucks waiting for cars to break down because of the winter months. So that obviously causes some backup issues on the traffic, and that's another con And I kind of already talked about it before, but that's how much of a pain the traffic can be sometimes in Edmonton. Another pro of living in Edmonton, and I've heard this from people who have recently moved here and people who've been here forever, is there's a lot of things to do. There's a lot of variety of things to do. You've got museums, you've got the summer events. There's always something for your family to do. There is the Citadel Theatre, there's the Edmonton Symphony Orchestra. They have things in the summertime at the Harlech Park. You are able to experience the museum. You've got the Provincial Museum, and you've also got Fort Edmonton Park. Fort Edmonton Park was recently just renovated, and so you've got lots of options to spend the whole day with your family there. Included in the admission is now also the carnival kind of section from the 1920s in there, so lots of fun for the kids to do something. They've also got the John Jansen Nature Center right around the corner. There's the TELUS World of Science. There's an unlimited list of things to do. The other thing you can do is there's places like the Foam Fighters, which is a Nerf gun place. Just imagine paintballing, but with Nerf guns. And speaking of paintballing, there's also paintballing. Then there's axe throwing. There's so many things. There's escape rooms, and I could go on and on. There's plenty of things to do in Edmonton, both as a family and people without kids. But I know that families are always wondering what there is to do with your kids. Another pro of living in Edmonton as a family is all the extracurricular activities that your kids can do. So your kids can also do art classes, ballet classes, gymnastics. There is Discover Coding classes, there's Young Engineer classes, there's gym classes. There's so many different classes. We have the Edmonton Valley Zoo, and they've got summer camps at the Valley Zoo. There's just a whole bunch of options for you as a family. And I've heard a lot of people coming from metro cities coming into Edmonton. Though we are a city, we are still a little bit more small town. So it allows you to have that smaller town feel, which I know that my clients have enjoyed, feeling like they can just walk to the playground and take their kids to the playground. They can take their kids to extracurricular activities. They can walk close to the school. It's very family friendly. So what about the cons? There's some cons that I've mentioned earlier, but one of the biggest cons I haven't talked about right now is the extreme temperatures that we have in Edmonton. We can get all the way upwards of plus 40, sometimes a little bit higher, and all the way down as low as minus 40 and sometimes a bit lower. The dreaded word wind chill is actually the worst word that you can use for people who live in Edmonton, because you can just walk outside for 2 minutes and just be completely frozen, and you can get frostbite really easily. So I would say a big con in living in Edmonton is the extreme temperatures. However, that being said, I've been born and raised here. We've learned how to live in these temperatures, and you've learned to make the most of it. So another pro of living in Edmonton is there are a lot of activities to do, not just in the summer months, but also the winter months. So you can keep yourself busy and you can entertain yourself, whether it is freezing or very hot. Another con in Edmonton has to do kind of with construction. It's the potholes. Edmonton, if you talk to anyone who lives here, we do have quite a bit of hot potholes. I don't know why these always happen, but beware, you usually find them on any road that you drive in Edmonton. In Edmonton, we have one of the sunniest skies in Canada, so that's a huge pro, is the blue skies and the sun. Whether it is minus 40 or plus 40, you can still have that beautiful blue sky. So if you don't like blue skies, then and you want that rain, sometimes we don't get a ton of rain. Although that being said, one of the Edmonton cons is weather is so unpredictable. Weatherman's not always right, and you just have to wait 5 minutes and the weather will change from pouring rain, torrential downpour, to super hot sunny. So it completely depends on what you're looking for in a city, but these are some of the pros and cons of living in Edmonton. If you have any that I haven't listed out, please comment down below and let me know, if you live in Edmonton, what do you enjoy about living in Edmonton, or what are some of the cons? Thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.